Free will. I had an amazing experience this morning. As I opened my eyes to the coming day, I looked over and there, laying on the end table, was an envelope with my name on it. It was not handwritten and it was printed. Of course, as I rubbed the sleep from my eyes and I sat up and reached over and turned the light on and picked up the envelope all in one move, I sat there on the edge of my bed looking at the printed, my name printed on the front of it. It was not sealed, just had the flap. I took a breath, flipped open the envelope. I'll go ahead and do this. Flipped open the envelope and retrieved a piece of paper that was inside. As I turned the paper over to read what was printed on it, those 5 words staring back at me from that piece of paper unnerved me and stunned me at the same time. It said, I gave up my free will. I was in a mild state of shock. Questions began to race through my head. Time seemed to have stopped while I was trying to think. Was this a joke? Who had put this note on my end table beside my bed? Why would I give up my free will? Can you even give up free will? If I gave up my free will, to whom would I give it up to? Well, free will. What is it exactly? Wikipedia defines free will is the ability to choose between different possible courses of actions unimpeded. However, the dictionary defines free will as the power of acting without the constraint of necessity or fate, the ability to act at one's own discretion. One further, Merriam-Webster, freedom of humans to make choices that are not determined by prior causes or by divine intervention. All 3 definitions are correct in one form or another. But the foundation of those definitions are the same. Whatever you decide is your decision, and your decision alone. Think about that. Whatever you decide is your decision, and your decision alone. How does anyone go about giving up free will? I guess, is the first question that needs to be answered. But what is interesting to me is that for you to give up free will, you must have free will in the first place to even make the choice to give up free will. For the last few months, and I have encountered many people that have given up their free will to the unknown, or without even asking why they should give up their free will. In our everyday life, when you give something up, it must be replaced by something else of equal value. It's the nature of things. That replacement that we have chosen to replace our free will is in fact the act of free will within itself. So do we really give up free will, or do we only shove it so far in the back of our minds that we refuse to use free will? Things that are used to replace free will, and are some that are very subtle, that we do not even notice them being used to replace our free will. These are just a few. Schools or schooling, advertising, media, books. There's mass hypnosis, brainwashing, chemical additives, and many more things that we see, touch, and use in our everyday lives that we choose to accept because of the life we want to live. Yes, the lifestyle we select to live is a choice of free will. And with it comes the kudos and the accountability, rewards, money, success, and yes, the opposite also. Jail, pain, sickness, death, loneliness, and all other consequences that come with our choices. The questions many atheists and other radical forms of religious belief or non-belief has on many occasions asked: if there is a God Almighty who loves everyone on this planet, then why does God allow disease, war, hunger, destruction, and other forms of misery? Funny thing about that is, these same people never ask, why is there beauty, grace, art, love, dreams, hopes, family, friends, compassion, caring, and goodwill? Notice anytime this subject comes up, it is always from the negative point of view. This, in its simplest form, is free will. We have the choice of love or hate. We have the choice of freedom or slavery. We have the choice of life or death. If you decide to leave your house and rob a bank, that is your choice. If you succeed in robbing that bank, which could be an outcome, of course, of your choice, you will say, I made the right choice, and you will rejoice in your action. However, if you are caught and sent to jail, then you will cry and complain that the system did you wrong, but you will not accept the fact that it was your choice to do the robbery in the first place. And the results of your action was jail. This is the basic everyday choices we make each and every day for ourselves and our families. Free will even comes into play when you decide if you want ketchup or mustard on your hot dog. Giving up your free will is a decision we all make. Many times it is the small things we give up because we give in to the small things, and then the bigger things or items is easier to accept. Give you an example. Wearing a mask. The media is telling us that the governor said that the health department study shows that the virus is so bad that we will all end up 6 feet under if we do not wear a mask. That is the way they present it to the masses, because they want to instill fear. Because the fear of numbers being presented is easy for us to give up our free will instead of find out the truth and question those who are taking our free will from us for themselves. They redo the numbers all the time just so they can scare us. This is only a small, just a small part of our lives that we are allowing the few to take away our free will. There is a program called TED Talks, a very good program, which a story was presented, and I thought it had a good subject matter that deals with this very issue of free will and giving into it and giving it up to those who really do not have the best interest at heart. Story goes like this. A man decided to move to a little town called Lesterville. It was a nice, quiet town and seemed like a nice place to raise the family. So he decided to stay. While he was there, he slowly began to notice that many people in the town were named Lester. Both male and female had this as their first name. This I thought was strange as I went about doing my day-to-day business of making a life for my family, and it occurred to me that the people in this little town treated me differently. I was treated more like a second-class person than a normal, everyday human being. Then, one day, it was announced that they were voting for a new mayor of the town. So I went to the courthouse to vote. I asked, where is the balloting being held so that I could vote? To that, I was asked what my name was. I went, okay. And I told them. The person at the desk said, you are not allowed to vote because your name is not Lester. Only Lesters can vote on politicians. Interesting. Lesters were the ones that were controlling the town. So, according to the town's register, only 5% of the town was named Lester. And they made all the laws and all the rules that the town lived by. How could a town allow so few people to run so many lives and not question their actions? I am sure you have discovered the meaning of this little story. We as a people allow only a select few to make our laws and rules, and yet we do not hold them accountable for their actions. This is a part of giving up your free will. Think about it. The people that are actually controlling your laws and your rules that you follow are done by lobbyists and your lawmakers. The people that we elect to represent us. And they do not do it all at once. They slowly chip things away, such as make you wear a mask and not tell you why. They slowly teach your children that America is an evil place and we need to tear it down. This is what they're telling our kids. Have you ever asked a protester or a rioter why they want to defund the police or burn the American flag? Their answers are few and obscure, but they are determined and convinced that by destroying our government, that a better way of life will emerge. That's scary. Okay. When you're asking these young Americans if they succeed in destroying this country's government, what will they replace it with and why? They don't have an answer. But check this out. In Seattle, Black Lives Matter and Antifa took over a part of the city and declared it as a free zone and sovereign nation unto itself. They are going to run it the way they see fit. They did not know what was needed to operate a city. Once they were in charge, they began to run out of everything. Water, food, no police. People were dying because they wouldn't allow the emergency people in to help those people. And they were the rioters. They were the ones that was part of all this. And they wouldn't allow them in to help them. They wanted free will for themselves and yet still wanted others to sustain them with the basic needs of life without working for it. Our politicians allowed such actions, and because they allowed it, they are also at fault. Now they are seeking power at the expense of the youth, who are following this anti-American agenda that they learned in the educational system. Politicians love it as long as it's for them. As it was with Lesterville, the percentage of our leaders is the same. We elected these people to act as our voice in government and not to become our kings and queens they so badly want to become. Once they had the rioters defacing their homes, remember this, once the rioters came over to their house, once they just started painting their house and their neighborhoods, they took action and shut the city down. So right there's got to tell you a lot. And now these mayors and governors of these states and cities, they have a real mess on their hands. Cleaning everything up, and yet other cities, these other mayors and governors are doing the same thing. Nobody's doing anything about it. Why? There should be no reason having buildings burned and people killed for months on end while they stand on a podium on television saying we will close your bars and salons and restaurants because you refuse to wear a mask. They will allow prisoners released from prison because of the virus, then arrest honest citizens who publicly defy them because they need to feed their families. If you people haven't learned that there's something wrong with this, you have lost your free will. When did we give our free will away? We have Americans, or we as Americans, have the best country in the world. and those outside this country understand what true freedom is. We as Americans have refused to teach our children the sacrifices that had to be laid on the altar of freedom so our children can grow up in a world better than we had. That's what we wanted. What we lost was what our forefathers gave us. They gave us that sense of pride, accomplishment, and endeavors to build a life for ourselves and not some government or king or queen or dictator telling us we cannot worship as we see fit. Free will gives this to us. And it is us and that free will to give it away to others who want to control us. It's up to us. If you want to give your free will away, knock yourself out. All you have to do is become their slave. So as I sit there looking at those words, I gave up my free will. I gave up my free will. Why would I do something as stupid as that? And I gave it up to those who did not care if I have free will or not. Free will is all we have. How much more are you willing to give up because a person tells you you should? Or some television station say, hey, someone said we should do this. We have not lost our country yet, but we have lost our youth. That loss is what will bring down this country, because they do not believe in free will. They believe in free stuff without taking accountability for that free stuff that they just take as they see fit. One thing is for sure, the radical leaders will not have a platform if we stand together, but as long as they divide us, we truly will fall. So the next time you are confronted by someone with or without a mask, ask them this: did they confront the governor as they are now confronting you? If they're going to yell at you for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, why are they not doing that to their mayors and governors? Wearing a mask or not wearing a mask is free will. That is being taken from you, and you are now bowing down to the new God. I gave up my free will.